Welcome back to Herbscapes, everybody. It has been a while. I haven't done a video in I feel like, over a month, I feel like at this point. I know that I've been gone. I hope you guys have been waiting on this moment of grandeur now that I'm back to entertain you some more. I have been gone, but I have been very busy. I've been dealing with a lot of family stuff right now. You know, my wife is pregnant and we're kind of just getting everything settled in our house. And I want to introduce you guys formally to our new setup. It is in the downstairs of my condo. And without further ado, this is our brand new fish rack. As you can see, big upgrade from the one that we had upstairs. A lot more space. We have all of the original tanks in the videos. The tanks from the videos that we have done previously, our 4-gallon, our 2.5, our UNS 2-gallon shallow, and we have some more projects here. This is our 15-gallon saltwater tank that we're gonna get into. This is our project for today, but I really just wanted to introduce you guys to the layout of what we're gonna be doing in the downstairs of my house now. We did need that area, as I said in my last video, for our new baby, so let's go ahead, let's get you guys introduced, and then let's go ahead and get into the project that we have for today. I'm really excited about it, so let's go ahead and get going, guys. All right, so you can see, guys, that we got storage at the top. We got all of our tanks. As you can see, the 4-gallon shrimp Utopia is looking great. We got our 2.5-gallon, which we're gonna be getting into today because we're actually gonna be breaking this tank down. I'm going to show you guys how we can break it down. We can get some new planting and reuse what we have in here for something else. As you can see, we have the Bucephalandra that we're going to be using in our video today. Let's go ahead and get this tank broken down. We're going to get everything out of it, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to place our new tank right where that one is, because I think I can actually get 2 square tanks rather than this one rectangle tank. I think I can get 2 square tanks there, maximize our space for maximum fish tank power. So I'm actually going to be able to get 2 tanks here as opposed to just the 1 rectangle tank. And I think 2 is going to look better so that we can maximize our fishy.
Don't say fishy.
we can maximize. We're gonna be able to get 2 tanks here as opposed to just the 1 rectangle tank. I think 2 tanks is gonna be better so that we can kind of maximize the space on the shelf and we can get maximum fish tank power going into this thing. Like it's just better to have 2 than 1, right? I mean, that makes sense. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this one taken down. We'll go ahead and get everything out of it, and then we'll start from scratch. Voila! So we got the old tank out, we got the new tank in. Like I said before, this is our 2-gallon UNS cube. I think it's like 11 by 11 by 11 inches. Convert that to centimeters for our folks, you know, everywhere else. And we got our old tank pulled out. We got all the plants out of it. We got everything arranged otherwise. So if we look down here, I have some of these plastic totes, just a light on it. These are all the plants that we pulled out of the 2-gallon tank, as well as some other ones like that Rotala obviously wasn't in there. And I think there's a Java fern in here too that we're going to be using. So, and then I know it's hard to see. Let me see if I can crank the iOS. There we go. There we go. This is all of our critters. I threw that rock that was in there. So our fish, you can kind of see one of them wiggling there a little bit, as well as all of our shrimps. Yeah, look at them. See the one of there, just kind of hiding. So those are our ember tetras. We got our shrimp in there. We got our filter still filtering, so that is going to be a fully cycled filter for this tank. So we don't need to worry about, well, hopefully we don't need to worry about really cycling too much because we're going to be using a completely cycled filter for this. Ooh, sorry. All right, so our first step in tackling such a small scape is figuring out the hardscape. I don't want to have to use any extra gravel. I don't want to have to use any extra aqua soil. All that stuff's pretty expensive, and when you have, you know, multiple tanks, costs can add up. So we're all about saving money today, especially, and so it's all about keeping things simple. So I want to use this really nice piece of lava rock, and I think this beautiful piece of spiderwood is gonna look great. And you know, off camera, I was just kind of messing around with trying to see how this fits on there. And I think it nestles pretty nicely and almost pretty naturally right about there. And so first things first, we're gonna want to go ahead and get this glued together. This spiderwood is gonna float the minute that you put it in the tank in the water. So I have zero patience to like let this sit around for a week or two in a bucket of water or something like that. So we're gonna go ahead and use our tried and true tissue paper and super glue method. Which is essentially just, you know, you're gonna use a little bit of this tissue paper, rip off a little piece, and you're gonna use that like a bridge between the two materials. And then you're gonna soak that tissue paper in our liquid super glue. Parents, stuff's dangerous. Don't let your kids use this without supervision. Kids, don't, you know, start using super glue without your parents, you know. We're gonna go ahead and ball that little piece up and find a good spot for it. As you can see, there's a connecting point here. Hopefully you guys can see that I just kind of shoved a little bit of that tissue paper in. And then we're going to go ahead and just soak that piece in our super glue. Just dab a little bit of that in there. Just soak it in. Make sure it's like well saturated. And then that turns into essentially like a hard plastic. I've talked about this stuff before, but the only kind of super glue that you can use for this is the cyanoacrylate super glue. You can use the Loctite stuff, or there's other brands of it, but the bottle has to say cyanoacrylate. So when I'm looking at the back of this, I don't know if you guys can see it. When I'm looking at the back of the bottle, it says warning contains cyanoacrylate. You gotta find the one that says cyanoacrylate, otherwise it won't work and you'll poison all your fish, and there you have it. So let's go ahead and find a couple more spots. We'll go ahead and repeat this method a couple times. You're gonna wanna probably do this in an area that is a little bit less obvious, because it does leave like a white residue on your piece and no one wants to see that. So let's go ahead and get our planting going for our hardscape now. We're gonna be using some of our gel cyanoacrylate glue. Just go ahead and visualize where we kind of want some of these pieces and where we're gonna kind of put some of this bucephalandra as we go. So as you can see, these are just the little nooks and crannies that you can kind of put them in. You don't need to necessarily glue all of them, but they do need to be put in a way that is going to make it so that they don't float or move around too much. Go ahead and take a little bit of your glue, give a little dab there. There we go. Put a little bit of pressure. Try not to get this stuff on your fingers. It's a little bit hard to get off. It will come off, but yeah. A little bit of pressure. Once again, a little bit of glue. A little bit of pressure. And we're rocking and rolling. And there you have it. So we're just gonna kind of continue this. I think that looks really good. We have a couple more that we want to put on. Go ahead and make sure that you guys are misting all of your plants along this whole time, because they don't like to dry out. So. Ow! Look at that dang. we're looking beautiful. The plants are looking gorgeous. The hardscape's looking perfect. I think we really nailed it with this, guys. I'm pretty happy with what we got so far. And let's go ahead and move on to our substrate layers for our tank. We'll go ahead and get this in, and we'll get some water in it. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up, guys. All right, and so we have our tank. As always, guys, if you've seen any of my previous videos, you know that I always like to start any substrate layer with this. That is our aquatic pond soil. I get this on Amazon. It's like a couple bucks. It's really no big deal. And with that, we have our initial kind of amount of our aquatic pond soil in the mix. I kind of like to always break it up with some sand. So this is just some, sand that I have. This is the Monterey sand that we've used in other scapes. And I just like to mix it up. And I think that this is important because you want to get the nutrients that the pond soil offers without it getting kind of stagnant at the bottom. You want the roots to be able to move in between it. You don't want to make it harder for the plants than it already kind of is to grow underwater. Growing underwater is definitely not the most ideal situation for any plant. And to be honest with you, they really not gonna wanna do it too much without help. So this is definitely the best way that you can kind of make sure that you get a good takeoff on your plants. Good to go. This is when we like to use our aquarium co-op, our easy root tabs. They're not too expensive. I'm not affiliated with aquarium co-op or anything like that, but these root tabs have worked for me really good in the past. And the reason I like them so much is because they come in this pill form. And the cool thing about the pill form is that I can actually open this up and I can dump the nutrients all over the tank. It gets better coverage that way. I'll show you guys how that kind of looks. But you just split it apart like this. You kind of split that apart. You see how that powder comes out? And then I just, I dump it around. And I feel like you get better coverage that way. All right, and so now that that step is kind of wrapped up, you guys know how I like to do it. I like to use some basalt gravel. This is the carob sea stuff. You guys know that I like to use this. You've seen this before in other scapes, but I really just think that putting a layer of this down at the very bottom of the tank just gives a lot of room for beneficial bacteria to grow. And this is where it might not be 100% necessary, to be honest with you, to do this. In fact, it's not necessary. 100% it's not necessary to do this. However, if for some reason the power goes out, let's say, while I'm not here, and all of a sudden, all of the filters turn off in all of my tanks, I know with 100% certainty that that tank can run without a filter indefinitely. The filters in any of the tanks that you see me do on this channel are optional. And I love it that way for that exact reason, that I do not like to rely on a filter. The power goes out, which it does frequently here in California, during the summers especially. I do not have to worry about my tanks. And that kind of like peace of mind is worth a lot in my world, at least. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go with a few more root tabs, something like that. Maybe another one there. You can definitely do too much, but try not to do too little. That's really the more important part. All right, and so now that that's kind of done, we're gonna get into the aqua soil now. But before we do that, I wanna get our hardscape in because I don't wanna have to use more aqua soil than we need. This obviously is the piece that we made earlier. This has been sat for about a night. Let's go ahead and get this in. And as you can see, the super glue and paper towel method works, because obviously that wouldn't be able to do that if that wasn't really firm and good, because that's the only thing holding that rock to the wood. So we're gonna go ahead and go in with it. Something like that, I'm thinking. Something like that. I need enough room back here to kind of plant stuff, but I definitely want a little bit more room underneath and down here as well, so I don't want to get too crazy with it. All right, guys, so we're gonna go ahead and move into the aqua soil now. Fluval biostratum. This stuff rules. It's so good. I honestly like the fluval soil better than I do pretty much any other soil that I've used. And I don't say that lightly. I say that as somebody that's used quite a few of them. This stuff is amazing. And even after I feel like I break down a tank, it still has so much nutrients in it, and the plants always go absolutely nuts for it. So I just have had better results for this. So this is the stuff that I always recommend people to use. Again, I'm not associated with Fluval at all. I buy this with my own money, and I use it because it's the best. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna nice and easy dump some of this in. Okay, and we're just gonna go ahead and just swoop that back. Okay, that's a pretty decent amount of soil. I don't think, that's probably too much, to be honest with you. But, hey, say la vie. Let's get into our capping layer, guys. And I have something really cool and special. That's right, we got the UN Contra Sand. Ultimate Nature, again, to me they do some things really, really good and some things okay. And this is one of the things that they do really good. It's like little river pebbles. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that. Making a huge mess, okay. It's like little river pebbles. It's so gorgeous. I just think it's gonna give kind of the perfect look to this tank. And I think it's gonna go really well with that lava stone that we have, so. Oh my God. Sometimes I don't even know why my wife deals with all this crap. Making a mess everywhere, jumping sand all over the place. She's a goddess. Anyway, this stuff's awesome. It's gonna go really good in this tank. So without further ado, let's just kind of get going, guys. All right. And as you can see there, we have our kind of layered in substrate. Let's go ahead and get some of our gravel in here. So I'm just gonna kind of do that first layer by hand. All right, then we can kind of just go back in here with this. Dump a nice bit there. Dump a nice bit back here. And then we'll just kind of spread it around. Yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. Would you look at that? Oh yeah, look at that. The Macho Man approves of that. Yep. All right, now that we have the approval of Macho Man Randy Savage, let's move on to something more plant related. All right, so let's go ahead and let's start getting these plants in here. And for our plants, we got a hodgepodge of different ones. You know, we have all the ones that we were able to save from our other 2-gallon. We got our, obviously, you know, you guys, if you watch this channel, you know how much I love dwarf sage. We have some Rotala orange juice, which is this beautiful bright red Rotala that's gonna look so beautiful. We're gonna have to get on top of this because there's not a lot of space in here for this, but we're gonna be on top of the trimming and stuff like that, hopefully. Let's see what else we got. We got some Cryptoludia, just like that. And I'm thinking right here is kind of a perfect spot for it. And kind of something like that. I think that kind of looks good. And then we'll go in with the rest of the Cryptoludia too. These are smaller ones, so hopefully these don't take up too much space, like I was saying. All right, so I think that those look pretty good right there. They're gonna get a little bit more lush, a little bit more beautiful as time goes on. What else? I guess we can go in with some of our dwarf sage. This does get slightly tall, so I don't want to put too much of this. I want to definitely save this for a different tank, but I just think some of it would look so beautiful kind of more in the back section of the tank. So let's kind of get that side profile we're going there. What happened here? Okay, so more on the back side of the tank, kind of somewhere in this vicinity. And we'll kind of plug and play some of that and kind of fill in some of these areas, and hopefully that does really good, along with the Rotala in the very back. And with that, all the dwarf sage is in. And just look how gorgeous that looks. So we got it all along the kind of the back area here. So I can get it in the light for you. There you go. That back area. That front area looks good. All of our crypts in this area and everything else. Let's go ahead and get the Rotala in here. Let's get the water in here, and let's get this tank finished, guys. And there you have it, a completed tank. It's looking pretty decent for having just been filled, I think. I have a tiny little power head in there just to get a little bit of water circulation. I set up one of my favorites, what are those, Aquastop, Forza, tiny little hang-on back filters. I think those are, any kind of filter would work, but that's just the one that I had. It's already pre-cycled. It's the same one that we had going in our original iteration of the 2-gallon. So it's gonna be totally cool with this one. Let's give it a little time to mature, and I will see you guys here in a couple days, and we will look at what we got. All right, guys, so we ended up getting some green neon tetras. These are, to my eye, they look just like regular neon tetras, except for they come in this really tiny variety of them that works really perfectly for this 2-gallon tank. So when I saw these, I immediately had to get them. I think that they give a really amazing look to this aquarium. That blue stripe, that iridescent blue stripe that's so common, that we know from neon tetras, really gives the tank kind of a cool look. Eventually we're gonna get some shrimp in this tank too. I'm hoping for some blue dreams. And I think that the blue kind of element will really pop against the reds and the greens that we have going on in this tank. I absolutely love these guys. They're, I mean, quickly becoming one of my favorite ones. Yeah, I think that they add a lot of character to this tank, and I've really enjoyed having them so far. So this is the tank about 2 weeks into the cycle. I think that we have gotten an amazing amount of growth even in that 2-week period. I've had to trim the Rotala in the back one time. The dwarf sage has grown beautifully. The cryptocoreans, they're a little slower growing, but I definitely have noticed them perking up. They're really nice and green, nice and healthy. I've had 0 melt on anything that I put in here. I haven't had to worry about anything. The Java ferns haven't gone brown. Everything is going really well. The water parameters have done really well. I mean, it's a lot of people say that it's really hard to get a 2-gallon tank to kind of be balanced and nice, but I mean, I haven't even done a water change on this thing in 2 weeks, and all of the parameters have just, you know, stayed so consistent and so beautiful. It's quickly becoming one of my more favorite ones on the shelf. I definitely want to work with this size tank again. I've definitely enjoyed working with a square tank. Usually I am working more with the rectangles and stuff like that, but recently I have, you know, really enjoyed working with some of these more, let's say, deep tanks as opposed to the more linear ones. Definitely a little bit harder to figure out the scape. I will say I had to think a little bit harder about how I wanted the rocks and the hardscape to kind of go in here. Definitely one of my most favorite ones right now. The fish just give it such a beautiful look. I'm hoping to get some blue dream shrimp in here, and maybe in the next, you know, 4 weeks to a month, maybe a month and a half. I've really enjoyed doing this scape, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed it too. I'm really happy to be back. I'm really happy to be doing videos again. Please like, please subscribe. That really helps me out, guys. And please share with your friends if you know anybody that likes this kind of stuff. As always, thank you for tuning in. My name's Herb, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.